10 biggest idiots in cars. A global pandemic has brought the world to a halt. People have been advised to stay at home and restrict their interaction with others as much as possible, as well as to use caution when meeting new people. Even in the best of times, common sense is a fickle commodity. During times of global crisis, common sense, as well as self-preservation and selflessness, appear to be put on hold. Their absence is the most notable on the road, where idiocy and selfishness frequently collide. Morons from all over the world have flocked to the streets in their sports automobiles, hoping to profit from the lack of traffic, and hopefully the lack of policing. Here are the 10 most inept drivers both during and before the pandemic. If you thought crazy was a new notion, think again. Number 10. The DUNDAS-SQUARE Sideshow Mustang. After stunt drivers stopped traffic on a major Ontario highway, video of the risky incident was released online, which the police are investigating. In the video, a vehicle can be seen doing donuts in the middle of Highway 409 near Pearson International Airport while a crowd watches on, several of whom are filming the event on their phones. A right-hand pan reveals a large queue of traffic stalled behind the group. Similar incidents occur on a fairly regular basis throughout the Greater Toronto Area, but most frequently near junctions. Just recently, one bored youngling saw the ideal opportunity to do some donuts in his V6 Mustang, blocking traffic and generating a massive commotion as onlookers watched in what is known as a sideshow in the United States. The humiliating scene didn't continue long though, as police arrived quickly and chased the Mustang out of the area, resulting in the driver's arrest a few days later. Amadullah Balouch, 21, was prosecuted for the hazardous operation of a vehicle, as well as mischief, endangering lives, fleeing while being chased by a police officer, executing a stunt while driving a motor vehicle on a highway, and reckless driving. Not all heroes wear capes. Every day you hear this, and every day it's a normal human doing some common good. Well, except today. In this video, the man simply deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for his service to humanity. I may be exaggerating, but only a little bit. Number 9. Jumping into a moving car to stop a dangerous driver. Before the daring plunge from an open window, the car was reversing erratically in a pedestrianized city square in Tirana, Albania's capital. In the main place of Albania's capital, the man dived through the window of a moving automobile to stop the erratic and dangerous driver. He made a spectacular running jump through the open window of the speeding car, feet first. The car's tires squeal as it reverses in circles around the pedestrianized square, as filmed by dozens of cameras set up to cover the country's general election. Onlookers in the square attempted to stop the car by grabbing the driver through the open door. When the door slammed shut as the car whirled around, a man leapt feet first through the driver's side window to stop it. According to the local media, the 32-year-old driver had already crashed 3 other cars in different locations of the city. He was suspected of being under the influence of drugs while driving. Not at all surprising. Number 8. The 707 horsepower Challenger with the tire blowout. Other than bringing a Dodge SRT Hellcat Challenger to the drag strip and racing a sub-12-second quarter mile, there isn't much a Dodge SRT Hellcat Challenger is good for. Unless you're completely bonkers, in which case you could be tempted to try the same trick on a busy pedestrian street. That's exactly what this guy did, speeding 271 kilometers per hour in a 110 zone shortly after midnight. The Challenger's right rear tire exploded seconds after being detected by the officer's radar gun, shredding part of the rear bumper and dragging it along the ground. The driver, understandably, pulled over, and the officer issued him a hefty penalty. The car was impounded right away, and the driver's license was suspended for 7 days. There was also readily accessible cannabis in the vehicle, which must have inspired the idea to replay the last sequence of Vanishing Point, where Kowalski ruins his Challenger. Spoiler alert. Just because you can do something and you want to, doesn't mean that you should. Take for example this next punch. What perhaps makes it worse is that it's not 1, but 3 grown men. You'd think one of them would be sensible. Number 7. The questionable Cannonball Run Attempters. While the rest of the crowd were parked in their Audis, this 2-man crew set out to break the iconic and illegal cross-country Cannonball Run record, which they apparently did. The two, who will go unnamed, reportedly finished the race in 26 hours and 38 minutes, winning nothing but a place in history as yet another moron who drove their car too fast. Some potentially hypocritical former Cannonball record holders weighed in on the effort, criticizing the drivers for pulling it off during COVID-19, despite the fact that the hazards were likely far higher. To be clear, this is a dumb event to engage in at any time, whether or not there's a pandemic. Drivers are forced to breach the speed limit almost wherever they go across the country because of the illegal street race, putting lives in danger from coast to coast. Number 6. The SUPER-RARE-SUPERCAR hit-and-run millionaire. Acting like an idiot isn't just for blue-collar workers. In fact, it often appears to be a hobby pursued by the owners of costly vehicles, particularly those who lack the ability to drive them. This April 7th incident in Manhattan, which occurred about the same time as the New York City Auto Show, is a nice illustration. While speeding, supercar collector Ben Chen lost control of his ultra-rare Gambala-modified Porsche Carrera GT, spinning it and crashing it into a nearby parked car. As if that wasn't awful enough, he attempted to flee the scene in his now totally destroyed supercar, but was apprehended by a state trooper a few meters down the block. He was then charged with driving while inebriated. Number 5. The dozen-and-a-half DVP street racers. These jerks didn't listen to us when we were ordered to stay at home. They frequently congested Don Valley Parkway in Toronto, affectionately known as the Don Valley parking lot, regularly disrupting everyone's travels both to and from work. The road has become a private racetrack for lead-footed yahoos and their fart-can beefheaded rides now that people are working from home or not working at all. In Toronto, 18 people lost their driving privileges and their vehicles were seized for 7 days over a single late March weekend. Another group was captured speeding at rates of up to 171 kilometers an hour, nearly double the posted limit. Racing has always been a problem on the DVP, but now that the street's vacant, individuals who endanger themselves and others are much simpler to see and apprehend. You know things are thick when you call the literal police on yourself. You go out of your way to commit a crime, get the police to chase you, and to get them off your back, you call them to almost beg them to stop. Maybe next time just stay home with your tea and biscuits. Number 4. Calling the police on himself. During a high-speed police chase, this driver dialed 999 to ask officers to stop. Samuel Birch, 30, was speeding when he was stopped by authorities, and despite the fact that he was previously wanted by police, he decided to run nonetheless. He then falsely stated he had a youngster in his car as he ran red lights and drove on the wrong side of the road towards Newcastle, England. He even threatened to drive off the bridge and end it all when he called it in and asked them to stop the chase. Of course, he used expletives to emphasize his seriousness. After a pursuing police car drove him into a 180-degree spin and impeded his escape near a football stadium, he was eventually captured. As if that wasn't crazy enough, authorities noticed him holding his phone out the window, as if he was trying to live stream the chase. After confessing to dangerous driving and failing to stop during an appearance at Newcastle Crown Court, Birch was detained and risked a prison sentence. This is the first time you're seeing Tesla involved in some craziness on our list, and we promise it's not the last. This particular one's the kind of thing that only happens in movies, or in Florida. You know, the place in America that's cursed forever to be weird. Number 3. Self-driving Tesla. The arrest of a Tesla driver in the Bay Area after placing his car on autopilot and sitting in the rear seat was described as a wonderful experience by the driver, who was unapologetic about it. The California Highway Patrol, on the other hand, claimed his activities were illegal and urged citizens to alert authorities if they saw him on the road in a similar circumstance. Param Sharma, 25, went on to add that it was perfectly usual for him to sit in the rear like that, just like in the video on the road. Someone else observed him on the Bay Bridge traveling to Oakland a few days later and, like any good citizen, alerted the cops. Sharma got into the front seat to bring the car to a stop, he said, while the motor officer stood there watching. His Tesla was impounded after he was detained and charged with 2 charges of reckless driving and defying a police officer. Sharma, though, took to Instagram almost immediately after his release to post a video of a self-driving Tesla in San Francisco. He's in the rear seat once more. The guy's practically begging to be thrown in jail. Sharma claims he's unconcerned about losing his driver's license, declaring confidently that driverless automobile technology will be available soon enough to get him where he needed to go. For the time being, he intends to keep doing what he's doing. To be clear, it's against the law in California for a driver to not be seated behind the wheel while the vehicle's in motion. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is looking into 23 crashes in which autopilot may have been used. And with that, it's now time for today's best pick. Today's photo was sent to us by a subscriber, so if you come across the photo online and you want to know more details about it, just send it over to us. We might even feature it in a future video. Number 2. Deer in headlights. Anthony Gooch, who runs a recovery service, brought the event to a happy conclusion at Altward near Maidenhead, Berkshire. When Gooch received a report about a stranded automobile, he went to investigate. The driver had apparently contacted him, and he was panicking because he'd hit something on the road. It was a deer lodged in the car's grill. The driver of the car, an 85-year-old man, was too spooked to aid the animal. Surprisingly, the deer suffered only minor injuries. When Gooch freed it from its unusual trap, he found that one of its hind legs had been fractured. The deer was naturally terrified, yet it didn't appear to be in any discomfort. What a lucky little fella! Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it, it really works. And number 1, Tesla versus SUV. This is the second time we're seeing Tesla come up, and you can't help but wonder, is this technology any good? They tell us it is, but is it really? Anyway, I'll stop with the tinfoil hat conspiracies because this time, technology actually came in handy. A road rage SUV driver forces this Tesla to ram into the back of it, as the video clearly shows. Thankfully, the incident was captured on the Tesla's standard built-in dash cam, Tesla Cam, and everyone was largely unharmed. The Tesla owner, on the other hand, claims that he and his car are both banged up pretty badly. The situation could have gone considerably worse, according to the officers who handled it. They were able to figure out exactly what happened thanks to the Tesla Cam video. One of the policemen even credited technology with aiding this inquiry. This type of driving conduct can lead to fatality. It's usually one driver's word against the other in a road rage episode like this. Deputies, on the other hand, watched the complete film of the road rage incident and the crash to figure out who was at fault. The Subaru driver swerved immediately in front of the Tesla and then slammed on the brakes as shown in the video. We don't get to see how it all went down, but the Tesla driver claims he passed the Subaru, who was very unhappy. The drivers told the police 2 very different tales. When they watched the footage though, it was evident who was to blame. We'll remind you that in situations like these, we don't always know what caused the road rage, but it doesn't matter. You can't try to murder someone who irritates you on the road, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Unfortunately, the SUV driver was merely issued a citation for willful reckless driving. You'd assume he'd face jail time for his actions, but we won't pretend to understand how the law works in this country, and we don't know what factors influenced the cop's decision to issue a ticket. Not to be dramatic, this driver could have taken someone's life.